It's not going to take more than 15 minutes.
Open up the meeting first.
Last floor. Cliff's going to do it.
Cliff's gonna do it.
Cliff's going to do it.
You can open up the meeting?
Open the meeting.
He's getting prepped for being the new chair.
Yes. What a good idea.
Fuck the can.
Did I say that out loud?
Oh, not new chair, new assistant chair.
I usually want to chair.
Oh, meeting first.
No, public hearing, then they close the public hearing.
Yeah, you got to open the public hearing, close the public hearing,
Hearing, then
open the regular meeting.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not within the meeting. It's two
See,
separate.
Cliff?
That's why you're the man.
Well, wait until Ellen's ready.
Yeah, make sure Ellen's ready.
I'll get, I guess.
Get it all on film.
I'll do something else, don't worry. I'm just more comfortable being wrong.
Mr. John. Sit down. Always got the statistics.
It's John. John's got something you will say.
He's got statistics.
I want to get this public hearing over.
John.
Why don't you ask Don why he wants the public hearing?
The Yankees are playing tonight.
See?
All right, so motion to open the public hearing?
I'd like to open the public hearing for the Miles Parker subdivision on October 11th.
After
In the announcement.
Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Planning Board will hold a public hearing pursuant to 274 and/or 276 of the state law and as described in the district schedule of area and bulk regulations of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following application regarding a subdivision application submitted by Miles Parker III for a parcel located at 1163 Oliveria Road, Big Indian, indicated as section 23, block 2, lot 24. Public hearing is scheduled for tonight, Wednesday, 6:45.
Don, since you're here representing the client, you want to come up and just run through it?
The Parker property has been conveyed back in 2002 to the four brothers. Miles D. Parker III has built a cabin up in there, and to straighten out problems with billings and tax billings and utility billings, they decided that they would like to cut that piece out of the main piece. The main piece is 50-some acres, 26 plus acres on the north side of Oliveria Road and the rest on the south side of Oliveria Road. So the map shows the proposed property lines put in there to give enough room around the cabin and septic and everything is well within. And to leave enough road frontage because the property is on both sides of the road. And that's about it. There's a sign-in sheet here if anybody has any comments.
Anybody from the public? Everyone on the board had a chance to look this over?
I think there was a letter.
Yeah, there's a letter from an abutting neighbor.
We received a letter from, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Andrew Hutner, in a butter. just stating that he approves of the subdivision. September 23rd. You got that?
Yeah.
Nobody's got any other comments? Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
You have to
Oh,
close the public.
We have to close the public hearing, sorry.
All right, I'd like to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll go ahead and open up the.
Open the radio.
You want to open it? Yeah. I'd like to open the regular meeting for October 11th.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Don Burr,
Recused?
well, this is attendance review.
Who's present?
Is present and recused.
Kathy Jordan,
Can I say recuse? No, here.
Art Christie, John Horn,
Here.
Joanne Cal,
Here?
Alan Shiner,
Here.
Cliff Rebuffo.
Here. So, first order of business, Miles Parker subdivision.
I make a motion that we approve the subdivision as presented to us.
I'll second it.
Okay. Board Member Shiner,
Yes.
Board Member Cal,
Yes?
Board Member Rebuffo,
Yes.
Board Member Horn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jordan.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next order of business. Are you coming back?
More stuff for your sign.
Next order of business is Sam Spada's term is ending as a representative to the Ulster Board. And we wrote a letter recommending that he continue on for a full term, because he was just finishing Holmquist's term. The letter to the Shandaken Town Board members. The Shandaken Planning Board would like to recommend that Mr. Sam Spada continue for a second term as the primary representative to the Ulster County Planning Board for the coming year. And then signed by the chair. Done. Need to vote on that? or-
No.
No, good. Thumbs up.
Well, all in agreement for that letter to send to the town planning board?
Yes.
Or town board?
Yes. No.
Now, what do we want to, we had set up a meeting or we talked about it at the workshop meeting, but town board would like us to hold off because they would like any new town board members to be able to sit in on the interviews. So we should think about when we want to have that meeting then. If we had it at our workshop meeting, we'd have to make it a special meeting so that we can vote on it. And then send the recommendation to the town board.
Well, that doesn't have to go till December. Was it the problem, Kathy, that we didn't want to be here the night before Thanksgiving because there was no other
Yeah.
night? That's why we made it November 1st?
Correct. But it's November 1st, so yeah, technically. you
It's
do that
before the
same-
election.
It's before the election, so you can't have the actual you can't make a decision. And you can't have a meeting because nobody's, new town board members aren't.
Well, we wouldn't make a decision anyway until the next meeting.
But you can't have the interviews
Why not?
because we don't have who the town board members are. Their request
No,
was.
wait a minute, this is not a law, all right? This was a request of the town board last year.
Mhm.
But whoever is elected can come here anytime during that time and sit in on the town board, the planning board meetings. You're saying it specifically has to be at the interviews.
They specifically made a request that it would be available for the new town board members to be present at the interviews.
Interview, yeah.
That's, the wording is accurate.
Right,
So,
But they know if they're gonna be on the town board after November 2nd.
November 8th,
November 8th, your meeting's November 1st.
yeah.
So it's why I'm saying we can have it at our workshop meeting, the last Wednesday of November.
Have what? Oh, last
Wednesday.
Wednesday. But then when are you gonna vote?
I'm saying we would have to call a special meeting on that night in order to vote. And then, you know, any newly elected town board member can sit in on our interviews.
Whoever's elected, though, doesn't take office until
Right.
the
January.
1st of January.
Right,
so
it's just a
they're not-
courtesy thing.
They don't get to vote anyway.
No, they don't vote.
After.
We do.
State law says different. State laws say appointments are made the first of the year. State law.
Yes.
Yeah. We
And
make,
those new board members would have to vote
Yeah.
with the rest of the town board. That's,
right,
it has to be at the first meeting.
town board meeting.
Yes.
So again,
We want to have the interviews before that. So,
So let's have it in October.
no, we got,
No.
we want to do it before,
We have to do
after
it
the
after,
election,
right.
so that the newly elected people can sit in on it.
Right.
My suggestion is we have it on the workshop meeting night.
What date is that?
29th November.
November 29th.
What do you think, Gavin?
I think that would work.
Al?
That's good.
Yeah.
How much time do we have to advertise? What is that?
The ads
Before that,
are
that's-
the month of October.
No money
For the position? Yeah, they were going to retire.
I think Sunday was the first one. It'll be the whole month
Yeah.
on Sunday.
So, let's see, we got interviews,
And then at the December meeting,
December meeting,
we could vote.
yeah.
That's good.
We'll have interviews during our workshop meeting, vote during our regular meeting,
Mhm.
add it to the town by January,
January.
and the third January.
Does it need to be a special meeting to have the interviews?
No,
No.
November 6th.
no, I was thinking we had to vote, but I guess we
We
don't.
can just vote another day.
Yes.
Concerns of ties,
So we're on agreement then.
Mhm.
Yeah, works for me.
We'll make it the 29th.
who's going to be elected.
Well, it'll be posted on the 29th.
So I'll make a motion, we have our interviews during the workshop meeting on November 29th.
No, I missed what somebody was saying. The advertisements are out. Is there a deadline on when?
Yeah, I said
The
before
end
the
of
November
October.
1st. Yeah,
End of October?
27.
27.
A second. On the motion.
Is there a second?
Oh, 1 second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Spada, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. So, once again, there's some grant opportunities. I have them attached to the paper report here. Community reports were a little bit light. They've noted that they feel they're making good practice on keeping the county roads in repair, doing about 40 to 50 miles a year. The county's got 450 miles, and they last 10 to 12 years, so they feel they're on track right now in terms of road repair. There was conversation about for those needing additional training or some learning on planning matters that the Dutchess County Planning Federation has been holding a series of good events, and that's available online. In the middle of September, they had another training session on the design guidelines, and at that point, I asked the question of Dennis to get clarification on the gateway meetings. I mentioned that in one of my previous reports. So what I've learned is the gateway meeting these are the people who attend the gateway meeting. The applicant, the town planning board, Ulster County Planning Department, and all involved county agencies and the New York State DOT. And the purpose is they want to dovetail local approval with all other agency approvals. So if somebody's doing a food service thing, a restaurant, you want to get the health department there as well. It's a workshop setting. You meet in a single room, all the agencies at the same time, 2 to 3 hours, and the discussion is how to make the requested approval possible while protecting the public interest. These get scheduled through Rob Leibowitz at the Ulster County Planning Department, I should say. This is free advice, there's no fee, it's an exchange of information. And they make the point that consultants and attorneys are not necessarily required. They intend this as a way to help small businesses that are thinking of investing in the county to figure out here's how they can go through the process. They prefer to do this at the county office building because it makes it easier for all the other agencies to be there. They know how to get there. But they will do it at the community location if requested. And I think these requests come from the town board. And the recommendation is you do this as early as possible in the process so that a small business can get a feel for what they'll have to do to get the approvals and move forward, get some investment. There were no noteworthy zoning referrals this month. It was pretty quiet. And just a reminder, I have a copy here of the letter that went to Rob Stanley regarding my reappointment. I'm up to date with all my training hours, and I haven't missed a meeting this year, so that's all good. But they do note in that meeting that I think there's some concern about whether or not I have an alternate because Keith hasn't been available, so that's something you might want to think about. That's my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That might be a good thing to keep in mind when we do our interviews. Alternate for the county. Okay. Any other business?
Warren, anything?
No, we're still waiting for other approvals for other projects to move forward, and I'm also waiting for other applications. Project up in Lost Clove, they have some hurdles with DEP, so. The Gitter property.
Back up.
Yeah, that was the one they were talking about doing.
Weddings?
Yeah.
Where is it? I didn't hear about this. Was it here? I mean, I heard about it, but I don't see an
No,
application.
You missed it. Well, he doesn't have the application in yet because he had a preliminary site meeting with DEP, County Health, his engineer, myself, and a couple other representatives. And there were some points brought up about the property. So they're going to do some further research before he makes an application. So it was a preliminary, to see whether it was going to be worth it to go through the entire process if it wasn't going to go.
What about the zip line?
Zip line is now before the town board, which will hold, is having a special meeting Monday at 1 o'clock with regards to
The zoning?
of the zoning lines.
Okay.
And they will be making their preliminary application at your next workshop, end of this month. They're doing site plan work and such. Spoke to their engineer also. And nothing else so far.
Okay.
Nothing.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
A motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Howard.
This time here, we actually take a couple of days off. Yeah, a lot of spaces and stuff.
Always a pleasure to see you. It's kind of quiet.
We actually
Good, good, shocking. Yeah. So it's not,
Have a tea trip.
but.
Oh, wonderful.
What we do is
We didn't do the traditional, we went a little off the
The Emerson area,
and then get a sense of what's all about.
letters saying
That's the way to really do that.
that they're aware of that subdivision of the.
Oh, I was just, you gotta talk to them.
I don't have to talk to them.
Why not?
People who do it.
Well, I can send you the email between us, and
Yeah.
I will also send you the copy of my lease, because my lease says that each time I
All
go,
we do is sweep.
Yeah, but it still remains
So,
that they own that.
I just asked them.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
The
that.
email is probably good.
Yeah,
It states that she's,
What happens is the lease says it's 45 years, but we could buy it at any time, no money as long as we pay Donald for service. Gone. But they're the ones that will have to attach it, whatever.
Good, oh, yeah.
They gotta do it. Thinking about later.
There's no way to subdivide?
But it's too small. We can't make small lots against the taxes.
What's in the end of your term on the agenda also?
Huh?
What's in your term on the agenda also?
Yeah. You done
They
that?
didn't say I think that the minutes.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. They wait for me to be on.
No, we saw the agenda though, that's why I said, what's on the agenda?
that's his fault.
They just have to vote.
Interview you though.
Yes.
Interview you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam, 3 years older than the last time you interviewed? No, 7 years old.
And I was
Paul, how are you? Paul, other people have,
Bunyan, right?
other people have a right to.
I say you've been cutting down trees, Paul.
They look okay. I have.
No, we have the hospital, China. We were waiting. No, he owns the house right before me, the yellow house on the top.
because there are a couple of people in
Tell
our
him
that
to
day.
do the farm.
Let's
go. He doesn't like the farm. There's a comment. I got him.
You want this file here?
No, it's not a right of way. Well, they have a water line, so we're gonna put in item 4, so that's.
No, but I mean, when they take out the street.